Hello and welcome to Spooning with me, Mark Wogan. We are here this week in the Lindsay Room at Corrigan's Mayfair. Oh, the luxury pill. And I have a very special guest with me, and I will be challenging the food that they think they love and the food that they think they hate. But of course, as ever, I will be blindfolding. But who is my guest this week? Well, Johnny has gone to great lengths with the introduction this week, so if you'll excuse me, I will be reading it as it is involved. Okay, so from the top. Today we are at Corrigan's Mayfair in the Lindsay Room, where I would be lost without you, my viewer and listener. Now, as a former chef, I was born to try to make the best dishes, so I will be able to deliver enough of a smorgasbord of foods to whet the palate and have no more tears on the foods that she does not like for my guest today. If there were too many puns, blame Johnny, okay? And take me home.
Yes,
But
Johnny.
with only one more pun to come, who is my guest today? It is the one with innocent eyes, Delta Goodrem.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Thank Johnny.
Well done, Johnny.
That was all his work.
I liked that there was some important deep cuts there, which shows a true introduction.
A true introduction to what can only be described as one of Australia's finest.
Well, I'm so honoured and grateful to be here.
And that's the interesting thing is, you know, we in this country have a idea of who you are and what you represent, but back home you're something completely different. Like you are.
Of course, I'm double agent. I'm a double agent, right?
I mean, you know, well, I think it's that thing that, you know, humility will make you say otherwise, but you're kind of institution at home.
I've definitely grown up with everybody, and I don't think there's anything they don't know about me at this point. I love that I've grown up in front of everybody. It's a very close relationship. It started very young, and I love that. You know, I'm very proud as Jane.
But you have retained your Aussie-ness.
Yes. Oh goodness, yeah.
Do Aussies like being called Aussies? Because
Yeah,
I don't think
Brits.
Brits like being called.
You don't
Poms.
like being called Poms, right? Okay.
Right.
I mean, I like.
And there's a show on TV here at the moment called £10 Poms,
Oh right.
which is all about that first wave of British people who perhaps weren't necessarily criminals who came to Australia.
The transported bread,
exactly.
and all those things. The convicts.
Yeah, and it was always that kind of, you know, when I was growing up, because I'm unfortunately a little older than you,
Thomas.
it was sort of Australians were in Earl's Court in London and didn't stray much further than that. And I mean, I'd come from an Irish Catholic family, so a whole load of my relations, my mother's brothers, because she came from a large family, were just farmed out at 15 to go and sort of till the soil and all sorts of horrific things with the Christian brothers and all that sort of thing. So I have a lot of Australian relations. I have to admit, though, Delta,
Tell me.
I've never been to Australia.
Are you kidding me?
Sorry.
That's criminal in itself.
So I'm here to learn from you.
I'm happy to be your Aussie tour guide.
Because my relations would just send me books on the beauty of Queensland and stuff like that, and sort of koalas hugging logs.
Yep.
But, and that was my impression of it. But it does have it's a lot different as a country. You know, we kind of here we sort of I think. You know, I can say this as an Irish person. I think some of the British had a slight snobbery towards Australia that is unfounded.
I mean, I haven't picked that up, but what I do know is that there is a natural connection between both worlds. I think Australians always come over here and work. People come over, the Brits come over to Australia and work. There's like a natural simpatico that I think kind of happens, and it's very natural for us to be here. Like when I'm here, I feel like it's home. So the same sense of sense of humor. Like it's very kind of easy for us to, even though it's a very long flight.
It is a long
flight. That is an upside down flight.
I remember my brother. He went to New Zealand.
Yes.
And he rang me when he got there, and I said, "How is it?" He goes, "I'm burning my underwear. I've never spent that in a pair of pants in my life."
That's funny. I do. I feel like I do that with my shoes. Once I get off the planes, I think I want to get rid of these shoes. They walked really.
But so we are very similar as, Australians and people from the UK and all, but where we differ is on one thing.
Tell me.
Vegemite versus Marmite.
I mean, I feel like
Now, the Australians are convinced
yes.
that Vegemite is better.
I feel like a lot of people on this side of the world are convinced that Vegemite is better as well.
And really? Well, I think there is only one way to find out. You, as, quite frankly, the Queen of Australia, I think I might pop the blindfold on you early, but let's butter some toast. And while we butter some toast, because it's got to go on buttered toast.
Yes,
right?
yes. You do need.
It's got to go on buttered toast.
You need a substantial amount of butter for.
Well, this is Richard has this particular butter here, which is delicious.
Oh, that
hand churned, nice and salty. And you'll notice I'm putting a significant amount on the toast there.
I'm getting you up the tray.
But whilst I'm doing this, so you born in Sydney in '84, which I was 14 when you were born. That's terrifying. But and you were always. Would you have described yourself as a precocious child who was?
Not at all.
But very much kind of a performer though.
No, I think it was no sort of. It was a very natural evolution from being playful.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't coming from a place of anything but my love of people, connection, playfulness. And I went to a local drama school that then they said, would you like to go for an auditions? And my parents said to me, would you like to go for an audition? Okay. And then I started landing roles, and it was kind of just it just was very organic. There was nothing forced about it. And I would go to school and get messy in the playground and go do these TV roles as something that was something I loved. It really wasn't
because you're seen as you're very glamorous and that kind of thing. Were you more of a tomboy as?
I mean, I would say that there's a lot of that within me. I like to present professionally, but my core of me is I get my hands dirty. I work hard for everything I've ever had in my life, and I am sporty and I have discipline, but I'm also like, I've got a bit of mongrel Australian. I've got a bit of I get a bit of sort of rough and tumble if you go on the sport field. I kind of enjoy that.
But that
I wasn't the one that enjoyed the styling when I got signed to Sony when I was 15. When they would go, here's a day of clothes shop. That's never been my passion. I enjoy the expression for stage, but or then wanting to put my best foot forward, but it's not my passion. And it never has been. It's just
so
the secondary.
Delta at home, is it saggy jogging bottoms and trainers with the backs trodden down?
No. It's more. I mean, I'm natural, a little bit clumsy. I'm a natural, little bit clumsy. So that's why I work hard at trying to pull myself together. I'm naturally a little bit messy. I'd be surprised if I get through this without spilling something down the flight.
But, for those who are just listening and not watching, it's a lovely, clean, white turtleneck.
Which is probably, in trouble. Not only am I going to be blindfolded, but that's a problem.
It's okay. I'll be feeding you.
Excellent.
Now, what we've got beverage-wise is Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I am a big fan.
Yeah, me too.
Because from your notes, which everyone fills in before coming on the show, sugar is a thing.
Yeah.
And I love sugar.
Yeah, me too.
But also, I have for you some very fine.
Because
you go from one extreme to the other. It's sort of like you're down here.
I am an extremist, Mark. You've already picked up on this. I'm quite simple and extreme. Yeah. Fancy and toast Vegemite.
Well, I quite like toast and Vegemite or caviar and champagne. Yeah, very nice.
Literally, Mark, you've summed me up. I actually don't even need to do this interview anymore. You've summed me up.
We are but a humble podcast here, and our budget can't stretch to caviar. So, just be glad you got some champagne. That's all I'm saying. And you can chase it with some Coca-Cola.
Thank you. What a combo.
But like you say, you mentioned there, you got signed really early as a musician first and foremost. Although you were doing, you were going up for, all sorts of different auditions for things.
Mm.
It was the music, really.
Yeah.
So do you see yourself predominantly as an actor or a musician?
I do see myself as both. I
Right.
feel like I've just kind of moved with where life takes me on natural when it comes to music and acting. And I mean, I was a coach on The Voice for 9 years, so it's like that was TV and music all wrapped in one. We would sing with the other coaches. We would, so surrounded by music and make TV because there's a lot of aspects of that you're
But it's such a successful brand, The Voice, and
Yeah.
it's such a great concept
it really is.
as a show that it's
Yeah.
it's just
It's a juggernaut.
it's so watchable though.
Yeah.
Even I
Same with as Blindfolds.
yeah,
You
and
know,
I find the same. I kind of find.
You've been to see it?
No, God, my wife is,
Yes.
but I am not. Although I did sing at our wedding.
Oh wow, what
Yeah,
did you say?
I sang Brown Eyed Girl,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
and luckily the musicians who were backing me were skilled enough to drop it down several keys, pick to a G, was it?
Beautiful.
So that I could sing it. But so you're signed to Sony at
Yeah.
15.
Mhm.
I mean, that's kind of like that shows some early promise.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, I quickly learned that I was sort of, how does this work being in a major label? And I stayed with that label that I was signed to from 15 for like 3 years. And it was an extremely successful relationship with Sony and the team and me. And only when COVID happened did I start to see the industry really take an extreme change.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that everything had to kind of be in-house. And I kind of realized that it was a natural shifting of the guards back home. And I created my own label and realized that I could put all pieces together from everything I'd learned.
Well, I think that's I think like if you still, which I hope you count yourself not lucky, but ultimately is lucky to have a career or break for after as many years as you have.
100%.
There comes a point where you sort of don't want to do it for anyone else but you.
For sure. I think there's a natural timing of that where you go, oh, all right, but also the world had changed. Like we had started these shows called Bunker Down, where they were these, basically when COVID happened, my partner Matt and I, we thought we're going to go live every week. And this was just straight away out the gate. We're like, we're going to, on a healthcare system every day, we're going to just sing, get your cheese boards from home, because we were we were all closed down a lot in Australia.
Yeah.
And so we had
Were you closed down more than in the UK?
Definitely. I'm sure of that. I'm pretty sure that we were the most, especially Melbourne in Australia. I was in Sydney, but my dad was in Melbourne, and so we did them for.
Where did they pick on Melbourne?
It was just it ended up, I believe everyone ended up segregating into states.
Because I think it's that thing is like a lot of people can't comprehend how big Australia is.
Yes.
So, the fact that Melbourne was different to Sydney is because essentially it's a different country in terms of distance and size.
Well, there's you could spread everybody out and we'd get a lot more room if we all just spread out across the whole of middle of Australia.
Exactly. Don't lock down, just spread out.
We just spread out. Everyone getting really big masses of land.
You've got
We all
enough
keep
room.
congregating together.
Look, you have enough room in Australia for everyone to have had a 2-meter cordon.
It's actually like, I think, I could be speaking totally out, but it was like, I remember somebody's density of like not 2 corners, but it was like something crazy where if
2
we had
kilometres
all
each.
gone into the middle of Australia, but that's not happening.
No, people wanted to stay.
We all want to be at our, Bondi Beach and our beaches.
So, that's happening for you in Australia as a teenager, and then you join the cast of Neighbours,
yes,
which was, I don't know. I mean, I've always thought Neighbours was sort of bigger here than it was in Australia. We love Neighbours here.
And that relationship again is beautiful. It's an amazing thing to see that Neighbours had a life of its own here, as well as it still had
Twice a day we used to watch.
Twice a day. I
don't know what kind of medication you needed to be on to watch it twice a day, but I watched it at least once a day.
I mean, I was there. I lived in Ramsay Street for a moment of my life.
As Nina Tucker.
Nina Tucker, she is the shy girl turned into having border tie, and I mean, I had some pretty funny storylines.
What was your favourite story, darling?
I mean, obviously Border Tribe was having like that song be a part of the show. I was a cleaner at Lassiter's, and Harold walks in and I'm sweeping the floor singing, singing Border Tribe. And I mean, those were pretty. But then, I mean, then as time went on and we had some, some very...
I would have liked you to have gone off the rails more,
I mean, there was a bit of a wild storyline where Nina had an affair with Jack, and then his girlfriend Rory had an accident at the pool and ended up in a wheelchair, and he couldn't break up with her because of this situation. I mean, the whole thing was quite a wild... There was 4 of us kind of around the same age that was in these storylines, and
but because they were sort of, they really had to, the writers really had to churn it out.
yes, yeah.
I mean, not in a disrespectful way, but they
No.
they had to keep the momentum going. Were there any storylines during that period that you were presented with that you went, I'm not doing that. That's insane.
No, I mean, no.
But did you not have a choice?
At that time, I was basically living 2 lives. I was like, it's like what was at school? I was at school as well as doing TV outside of school, like extracurricular, and then coming back to school and getting in the mud. And I was at Neighbours, and then I was coming over here to the UK for weekends and doing Top of Pops, and I was also recording my album and having music on the charts at the same time. So I didn't really have any of that time to...
But you
I was
hit
quite busy.
really big here.
Yes.
During those sort of early noughties sort of thing. Was that a surprise at how quickly that moved forward?
It was very quick. Everything happened. That it was a lot of synergy, a lot of the music had just, it's always, I realize in music, it's cultural, depending on what's happening in the air, what music people are, the sounds, how they've evolved. But now obviously there's a totally different world again. There's no genres, there's no one way, it's all very, very different. But then there was a kind of a natural where, you had Piano Girl like Alicia and I came out, and I really appreciated it. Was a lightning in a bottle moment with the album.
But did you find it a bit discombobulated in a way that, suddenly it's like, oh, hold on, I'm really famous now, like that?
I mean, I didn't have a drive to be famous. I wasn't really I didn't really have an up or down about that. I just was trying to navigate how to...
But that is something particular, I think, to famous Australian people, is they wear their fame really lightly.
Yeah.
It's not a kind of, and I don't know whether there's a general sort of grounding attitude in Australia. It's like, don't get too big for your boots.
Yeah, probably is, probably is.
But you think of, very famous Australian people, like, even before we started, we were talking about In Excess.
Yeah.
Michael Hutchence. Yeah. He was a huge international rock star. But you would just see him walking down the street on his own and loved it.
For sure.
There was no kind of airs. There wasn't a big team around him. There wasn't that. I know, I'm sure there was at various points.
Yeah.
But he also enjoyed the normality of life. As well.
Yeah, I definitely think that's part of it.
But that obviously, particularly here with our press, here we are. A lot of that was ripped away from you quite quickly, and and because you are undoubtedly an attractive individual, so there was a lot of sort of no, but I mean there was a lot of attention on that rather than perhaps maybe the core of your talent and why you were there and that kind of thing. Was any of that difficult? Because I always think there is a certain level at which for people who are famous, fame is traumatic. Did you experience that side of it at all?
I mean, I've definitely had heroes and villain moments. I feel like you've had support, and also, but I do look at the journey when it comes to being in the public eye. That's how I always phrase it as well, is that sometimes, you like to look where there's merit where you go, okay, what are you saying here? Is there something I can look within and improve on? Is there something I need to look at here? I humbly am always a student at trying to be better than I was yesterday. But also then having enough strength to say, well, that's unjustified, so I'm going to just kind of discard that and continue to move forward. So I think that one thing that's important that we didn't have that we have now is that perceptions can run away. Back then, when I first started, I had always I believe in rising above. I'm not a dirty laundry kind of girl. I'm not really into it. It's never been my thing so when I went through a chapter of my life where there was a lot more tabloid, a lot more, I didn't probably know how to handle it at that point. I'm 20 years old, 19, 20, just come out of going through cancer. I've had big records. I'm trying to find my feet again, just as a young girl. Everything has changed. And I think that you can, no one gave me a book in that moment to say this is how you, and if I had in this modern world, you can just say straight to people, hey, this is where I'm at, this is, I just need to say this is kind of where it's at, this is where my heart's at, and you can be able to have that direct conversation. But back then when there was storms or anything that was happening, I probably was a bit too young to understand to probably jump up and speak up.
But I think the reality is both good and bad. In the sort of first quarter of your life,
yes,
you sort of went through a lifetime's worth of stuff.
Well, it was a lifetime.
Because you mentioned it there. I mean, is it 2003? So just as everything's gone, you're diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're like, hold on.
And so, and honestly, the amount of people that were with me from this side of the world as well was remarkable, and I don't take that lightly. It was phenomenal, the outreach. And it is what it is. Life steps in. It doesn't care that you've got number one records at the same time.
It's going to get you whatever.
It doesn't say, oh, I'm so sorry, Delta. Did you say your dreams were just coming true and you had number one? I'm sorry, that doesn't matter. You have to be healthy, and your health is number one.
But do you think that was a result of not living healthily?
No. But I was burning the candle. I mean, it wasn't like, no, I'm from 9 p.m. till 4 a.m. I'm in the studio singing. Yeah. And then I'm going to Neighbours. Then I'm flying to the UK. Then I'm doing 16-hour signings.
That's a young person's game, let me tell you.
Yes.
You don't want to be doing that now, do you?
No. I love spending time with people. But yes, I definitely probably had a bit more energy.
So post-cancer, or if we could say, I always find that quite weird when you say post-cancer, because I think if you've been through something like that, it's sort of always part of you in a way, not necessarily in a negative way. Sometimes I think it can have a positive effect for some people as a cancer survivor.
Of course.
It's interesting. I was about, like a lot of your country people, I suffer from skin cancer, so I get checked on a regular basis and just have stuff hacked out on a regular basis. That's I accept that. But what you had was much more involved as an illness. So coming out the other side of that, were there times where you didn't feel like you were going to make it, or did you always? Because you seem to have a ridiculously positive and balanced mindset. So did you retain that?
I mean, as an 18-year-old at the time, I definitely had my moments.
Because you forget, I mean, I remember you going through it and you forget how young you were.
Yeah, and I look back and I don't think anyone realised how young I was. I don't think I realised how young I was. I think I kind of came out the gate quite like an older spirit, but yet I was always playful. Like I would kind of go and work as an adult, and then I'd sort of be with my school friends. Like I had the balance, but at the same time, I don't know where it comes from. I'm not sure, but it was just, I look back at that footage and I go, I don't know how I was 18. I feel like a different age group, or it was just, obviously that was meant to be my story.
But I mean, you don't appear to have changed that much. Is there any chance you could have turned up looking a bit older? I mean, you know, I know what I looked like back then. I don't look anything like it now. It's not fair, right?
I'm frozen in time.
Yeah, it's a painting in the attic, isn't there? It's a Dorian Gray sort of thing going on. But you know, so you make it through that, and then
Yeah.
and then a film career starts. You make your first movie,
Yep.
which was Hating Alison Ashley. That was it. Yeah. I mean, you know, was that then another experience, another challenge for you?
Yeah, I mean, I started to sort of go into work straight away, and that was an interesting moment because, I'm wearing wigs and my hair's sort of growing back, and he was a very discombobulating kind of moment in.
But it does smack to you know, another thing I pick out of you, which is a toughness.
Mm.
You know, a lot of people would have gone, "No, I ain't working. What are you talking about? No, no, thank you."
Yeah, I mean, I sort of look at my mom, who's a natural energizer bunny, and I think I've always kind of been a bit the same.
Because you even before that, you went back to Neighbours to finish your storyline.
Yes, yes,
What else?
I did. I can't fully understand some of the thoughts that might have gone through my mind back then, but I do know that I was doing the best I could in very unusual circumstances.
But I think what it is you have a sort of resilience, and you keep going, and you keep going with an enormous amount of sort of humility and charm, which then you end up
Hmm.
singing, duetting
Hmm.
with an Australian legend, Olivia Newton-John.
Yes.
I mean, what was that? Because that, I mean, she was the previous queen. So,
She is the queen. She is a reigning queen.
yeah, she's a reigning queen. All right, you know, look.
Yep. I My love for Olivia John has been very openly in chat. Now, I will always talk about her because I always keep, continuing to bring that light into the world, even from the other side. Um, she reached out to me when I was unwell, and we had connected from that day. She always checked in with me, and we both became sort of warriors for each other of how can I be of service when you need, and if we were doing a walk somewhere, or for her charity in her wellness center in Melbourne, or she was just always guiding me and taught me the value systems of being there for my fellow artists as well behind the scenes, and how I could be of service to be. It's just, she taught me so much. She really, really was my teacher.
Because that's the thing I notice, friends of mine who are, in the public eye,
Yeah.
the ones that are the most relaxed and are at ease with their fame are the ones that go out of their way to help other people.
For sure.
They really
It's not a drive for some sort of something. I have a drive because I love to impact in other areas with people. I love the impact of being on stage and having everyone in the same song and moving in energy, right? So that's my drive. I don't have a drive for, anything else.
What I mean, I think I suspect I know the answer to this. What gives you a greater buzz?
Yeah.
Seeing a piece of work, acting work, come to fruition on a screen, or standing in front of an audience and having them sing your song back to you?
Well, I mean, I definitely am singing, and it's the live element
Yeah.
of being on stage that's coming back to you. But when we had like Lovers in the Air on Netflix came up and we all got together and watched it, I was like, this is so fun. That's so fun.
I mean, it is a fantastic experience, and it's not something that everybody gets to experience. But there are the downsides, and we touched on it before. You have experienced negativity, you have experienced adversity,
Of course.
and in many cases, really publicly.
Yes, yeah.
I
I
have. As a more mature person,
have.
would you have dealt with it any differently than you did then?
No. I mean, yes, and saying that if the world was different in that time, I would have been able to have maybe a voice amongst when storms happen. I kind of call them when you're in a bit of a storm and something has taken, a negativity or your kind of flavor of the month to be a roll-on effect of sort of like, an attack or something, or you maybe. And I also look at it like, do I have to work harder at finding my authenticity in this moment? What am I doing that's bringing, so because the voice had a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
As well. And, you know, just after going through cancer, you know, I had some different seasons over here as well. And I think that
That's different seasons.
different seasons.
It's a little bit chilly at the moment. I look forward to being warm and sunny again.
Looking forward to the warm. But again, I know in my heart that I have no malice. I'm there for music and people, and I put the umbrella up when it's a little stormy. But I wouldn't change. I think I'm here because I handled the best I could.
Yeah.
You know.
I think so. And I think that
I don't bite back. I'm not.
Well, I think it's the public aren't stupid. At the end of the day, they sense authenticity. They sense, you know, and they will forgive if you are authentic. Not that you had anything.
No, but there's times where I got lost too. So then I also look at that when there's negative moments of, like I'm saying, I'm open that I can.
Was what I want to know is,
yeah,
was there a crazy party rock star
era?
Delta era? It's like, where is she? I don't know.
Never.
What TV drops.
I'm pretty PG over here, right? But I definitely have my teenage years later in sort of my late 20s. I think I had like a teenager year moment where it was like, I didn't drink until I was 27, for example. So I never like even had I'd never sort of been drunk till I was
the first
27,
drink?
28.
Because I'd already stopped by
You're
then.
going to die. I was actually, I mean, well, when I say I had, so probably my first time being like a bit tipsy.
Yeah.
I think it was a lychee martini or something.
Lychee martini.
Because my girlfriend Jackie had been in the UK, and she just got back, and it was the finale of The Voice, and it had been like full on, and that was the first time I had a few extra drinks.
Have you ever been blind drunk? Like,
Of course I have.
But only on champagne and caviar.
Yes, definitely champagne and caviar.
No, because I think it is this kind of, you know, there is a danger of you being a little bit perfect.
No.
No, I mean just as a kind of like, oh right, and then you listen to you talk, you listen to Discover, and you see a real humanity there.
Yeah.
And
I have the colours of the rainbow. I've got every side. And I feel like it's important in life. It's like with food. It's like everything in moderation.
Now, talking of food,
Yes, tell me.
I have here two buttered pieces of toast.
Mm-hmm.
One with Marmite, one with Vegemite. Now, obviously, when you're looking at them, it is obvious which one is which, because Vegemite is darker, almost like some sort of byproduct of crude oil. However, I'm just as an aside, these are not your spoons, but I want to know, can an Australian tell the difference? Because, you know, you as a nation, you are vociferous in the fact that Vegemite tastes better.
No, yes,
all right.
I go for it.
So here is your first one. Here, I'm just open mind. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are you ready for the second one yet, or do you need to just cleanse your palate with a bit of champagne? Do you want to cleanse your palate with a bit of champagne? There we go.
Mine champagne.
Okay. And now this one. Now, which one is which?
Can I have a little bit more of that?
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's not...
Well, I thought Vegemite was straight out the gate, but I'm just...
Here we go.
I feel like...
It's right here. Oh, you definitely had a big old bite of that second time round.
But now I feel like...
So which is which? Because, I mean, any time I have had this discussion with an Australian, it's like, Vegemite's by far the best. You can taste the difference. But when you put a blindfold on...
Well, I mean... I don't know if I had enough of the first one. I felt like I had a lot of butter. So I was like, maybe that...
Do you want the first one again?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, first one again.
Apologies. It's very important to me.
Yeah, no, I know. This is national pride here. Which is which? The excitement's good.
I'm actually dying right now.
Go on, take the blindfold off. Take the blindfold off.
First one was Vegemite.
Yes!
Yes!
But it is hard to tell, isn't it? That's that
Yeah.
thing of like,
Yeah.
you know, you're so convinced because and I think so much of it has to do with branding. This is this, you know, to Australians, this is familial and lovely and says everything about home. And this says exactly the same thing to people from the UK. And therefore there is pressure. You know, we have a thing here where I think the strap line for this brand is you either love it or hate it, right? But
very polarizing.
Vegemite has a song.
Yep.
Can we have a few bars of that?
Happy little Vegemite, as bright can be. We all enjoy our Vegemite for breakfast, lunch, and tea. Our mama says we're growing stronger every single week because we love our Vegemite. We all adore our Vegemite. It puts a rose in every cheek. Dun, 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 dun.
That's right. We have a round of applause, please, in the room. I mean, word perfect. I mean, here we only have to remember you either love it or hate it. There, you've got to remember a whole song to be a true Vegemite fan.
You were testing my, I was so confident when I first had, okay, cool, that's Vegemite, the first one. But then when I had the second one, I was like, hang on a minute. I'm like, this is a national emergency.
Well, look, let's move on from that. But you did pass the test, which is good. You know, you can go home. You can go home confident. Yes, they will welcome you back with open arms. One of the things you said you always order is a souffle. So this is a Corrigan's Mayfair souffle. There's a little scrutiny for you. Tell how that stacks up.
Okay,
that is a proper.
I just think it's just probably quite too much.
No, just going. No, honestly, we can cut out the excess chewing. That's a good souffle. Right? I'm sorry, I'm going to join on. I can't sit here and let you enjoy that souffle on your own.
My dad, souffles always remind me of my dad. I feel like we were in Melbourne once and he's got a real sweet tooth like me. And he was like, oh, it was like a special occasion, then we're going to order the souffle. He's like, whenever there's a souffle on the menu, Delta, make sure you always order it. And I was like, every time I see the souffle, it's like I get this feeling of like, I got to order the souffle.
That is a good souffle, though. What parents and food and everything? Did you grow up in a very particularly foodie family?
No, I wouldn't say that. We're pretty meat and three veg. You know, I don't think that they were like we had barbecues and a lot of sweet treats around the house. They had a lot of sweet bowls. But
well, that's what you said. It was sweet bowls.
Yeah.
Croissants for dinner.
Croissants, no, for Christmas.
Christmas, that's it. Croissants for Christmas dinner. Seems a little strange, I've got to be honest.
Well, no.
Well, I suppose it's the heat.
Yeah.
For the heat. But and then the other thing is, which I think is a particularly Australian thing, fairy bread.
Yes.
Now, for people who don't know, explain what fairy bread is.
It's hundreds and thousands on bread, like white toast with lots of butter. That's kind of my childhood that I think of.
Because that reminds me of when I was working as a young chef.
Yeah.
To keep going because the hours were so long, we would eat sugar sandwiches.
Really?
Yeah, you would eat sugar sandwiches to try and get a sort of burst of energy.
No way.
Yeah. I mean, I
wish sugar and bread.
Yeah, just sugar and bread.
That's so interesting.
But I mean, I wish we'd known. We could have had the glamour of fairy bread.
Hundreds and thousands. You just put them on the,
But that is particular to Australia. I don't think do we have fairy bread here?
No.
No.
That might be a bit of an Australian thing.
Because, I mean, I know from friends of mine who are chefs and people who come up back and forth here that particularly in Sydney, the food scene is extraordinary and there's some fantastic food. But in the same way the British suffer, the Australians don't necessarily have what you would describe as a defined cuisine.
I mean, I think of like an Aussie barbecue. I do think that that's our kind of, when I think of a great day in Australia, like seafood, prawns, and then having sausages and lamb, and that's kind of, I guess, I know.
Well, we grew up with Crocodile Dundee taxing us.
Yeah.
Standing I think the advert was him standing by the Sydney Opera House with a barbecue going, I'll throw another prawn on a barbie for you.
Yeah. There's a reason for that, you know.
So it obviously was actually happening, which is
Yeah.
good. I mean, like I said, I haven't experienced, but I aim to rectify that.
Well, you must come to
Yeah, gotta go to Australia. Because I mean, friends of mine go out regularly for either work or that kind of thing, and they love it. And you know, but it is the vastness of the country. Do you have, because it's so big, and you are so ridiculously famous in Australia, are there parts of Australia you can go to where people don't know who you are?
Well, I'm sure if I went to the middle of there's a sort of kangaroo hopping past.
Because you were you in LA for the fires?
Yes, this year I was. Yeah, I mean, again,
Not like that was a special trip that you took, you know, from
no.
up.
I mean, when it comes, it comes to everyday life. People share a lot of stories, and I kind of, again, I've grown up with everyone, so it's like, oh, hey Delta, how's this? I feel like there's a personal. When it comes to Los Angeles, I've always had a home there because a lot of the time, you know, we will go and be in the studio, or a lot of co-writers and a lot of sort of work there as well, is where we sort of I've had a home there for most of my life as well. And I was there at the start of the year, and we were making the new music, and it was not to be. It was like being in a very unique Los Angeles movie.
Well, I mean, friends of mine said it was
Very
like
weird.
it was like somebody was filming this.
Yeah,
What
it
happened
really
and how
was.
quickly it happened, and
It was like being in a strange apocalypse. So it was extremely strange. The sky was very, you know, dark. It was.
did it affect directly where you have a home?
Yes, so we evacuated for like a night. Well, absolutely fine and safe and grateful, and not you know, a lot of people went through a lot of traumatic situations there, but it was definitely, you would get these alerts, you know, on your phone, beep, 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 beep. And we got one. So there was these ones though that were accidentally going, and one at 4 o'clock in the morning, and everyone was on edge. Like it was quite edgy. And I got one, and another, and oh my God, babe, that's like, it's on. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. It's like, and you turn on the news and you're going, do we need to get out of here? Or there's like, sorry to these people in this county, that was a false alarm. And you're like, it's very on edge. Oh, it was very,
So
very on edge.
that you are in the UK at the moment,
Yes.
and it's the Mistaken Identity tour.
Yes.
Now you've been doing a bit of press and interviews and whatever, and what we find is a lot of people come to us after they've been to Jamie Lang, and I suppose, you know, I mean, last week we had Amanda Smith from Selling Sunset. She'd been to Jamie Lang, and Jamie Lang got an invitation to her party. I didn't, which even upset it. But you know, now that you've done both,
Yes.
I suppose the question I want to ask is, who do you prefer?
Well, much like, you know, Marmite or Vegemite, they're all important.
Ever the professional. Well, look, that's all for part one. Join me in part two, where I will be blindfolding Delta again, and we will be going through her spoons. Welcome back to Spooning with me, Mark Wogan. We are here in the Lindsay room at Corrigan's Mayfair with none other than Delta Goodrem. But Delta,
Mark,
we've come to that time in proceedings where you are going to wear the blindfold, albeit weirdly, for the second time already, because we've already blindfolded you and given you the Vegemite Marmite test, which luckily, for your standing as the Queen of Australia, you passed that test.
the Lord.
But here is the blindfold, and we are going to give you your first spoon.
Okay.
Okay. Now I will feed it to you. Okay. The other one, don't mess up the makeup or anything like that. Not that there is any makeup.
Yeah.
Here we go. So this is the first spoon, and I need you to tell me flavors, textures. Oh, that's a good noise. We like that noise. Is a good noise as opposed to ooh. You know, we have had spitters and pukers. Just to let me know. Lavalisha.
Oh, bum.
Would be gone.
I said truffle oil or
Mm.
meat.
Meat, definitely.
Maybe you've added in a little bit salty.
What
I like
flavor?
peppery kind of.
You're getting the pepperiness.
Not
You
peppery.
getting any other herbs?
Yes, I'm getting like rosemary herb.
Close.
Rosemary or like a thyme or a
Maybe an
oregano. Yes, okay, that definitely. I can definitely taste all that.
Take the blindfold off, because that is ribeye steak.
Oh,
with
chimichurri.
Chimichurri.
Chimichurri sauce,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, which you said is one of your favourite sauces.
It is. I love that. That is.
Have you done a lot of sort of South America? Was that part of your touring schedule, or where your popularity lay?
No, I mean, it's, different parts of the world have different stages of my life there, but I mean, really, when I think of touring and being on the road in the States, and we go to like many different places, it's very hard to find like chimichurri. Chimichurri is a real thing in our house because I love it. And normally, my fiance, he's an amazing cook. And my brother tried to recreate.
Yes, now you say fiance there.
Yes.
Because that's a recent development, isn't it? The fiance bit.
Yes.
I mean, there's no hiding the size of rock on your finger. That is vast. You could see that from space.
Yeah, no.
I mean, let's have a look at that. That is incredible.
Oh, thank you, Mark.
There's a princess cut.
Yeah.
Princess cut. Yeah, timeless.
But we love he cooks them. He does, and I love chimichurri. For some reason, I like the touch of oregano though. I wouldn't have.
You've just completely rushed over the fact that you got engaged.
Yes. No, we did get engaged at 2023. So yes, we are.
2023.
Yeah.
Have you set a date?
We'll be.
Should I be buying a hat? Because obviously, if Jamie Lane gets an invitation to that wedding, I'm going to be upset.
Well, let's say Jamie and yourself. Guess what? Coming to the wedding. That's what's happening.
That could be my excuse to come to Australia for the first time.
Yes, exactly.
But did he do it all properly? Was it down on one knee? Did he really work the whole situation?
It was perfect in every way. Perfectly, just him and I.
I always think it's quite a weird thing, the proposal, though, in the respect that, as the proposer, you've sort of made the decision. It's like, we're going to do that. I've got the thing. I've organised this. I'm going to do the, and I'm just going to go, how about it? And then the proposee has to make the decision there and then. They're like, yeah, okay.
How did you propose?
He proposed in our favourite restaurant.
Yeah.
And luckily it went according to plan, because I'd actually had the location of the date engraved on the inside of the rim. But the weird thing was, so I didn't go down on one knee, but I just, between courses, just sort of opened up the box and slid it across the table and said, to which she did this. And then they're going, what? She just literally put her head down and was looking at the floor. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And she went, oh, can't believe you've done this. And I was like, is it yes or no? That's all. And she was like, oh, yeah, it's definitely yes. I was like, oh, thank God for that. But there was a good sort of what felt like a lifetime hiatus before the word yes.
Do you think did she feel at all that it was going to happen that night or no?
No, not at all. And I mean, arguably, she's probably regretted every day since. But, we've been together 26 years now. So
something now, yeah.
So somebody is, not necessarily me. But so, because you guys have been together how long?
We first met in 2016 and we were friends first, and then we've been together since.
Yeah, I mean, we were together 4 years before I asked her. So, I mean, that was the next thing she said. You took your time. But
my brother and his wife have been together for, I'm not sure now, 20 years, I think. He's younger than me, but they were kids, and I think they had like 8-9 years or something. And
something about your family start young at
my
things. Yeah.
My sister-in-law was like, yeah, that's tight, come and train.
I want to just touch on another bit of adversity that you went through, which was essentially having the salivary gland removed and losing your voice and speech at the same time. And
yes.
What was that like?
I mean, not ideal, and It was a moment in time where it's again just being human. It's calcium built up within your Seifert tunnel, and it had got infected, and it needed to come out. And so when I had the operation, one of the nerves got bruised in that time, and therefore you have to be patient with when is it going to recover and how long. And so then there was a paralysis on my nerve to my cranium on 12, and took.
Has it affected your range, how you sing, how you approach notes, or do you?
It definitely did, but you just had to learn a new placement. But no, I think
No. The only reason I ask is my wife Susan worked as a speech therapist. She was a singer. She was a singer and then worked as a speech therapist as well. So it's that thing of because
with communication challenges.
Yes, yeah. Because when I looked up I didn't know about the condition. When I looked it up, we were talking about it last night, and she was saying, I wonder if she had to find a different position for her voice.
100%, yes. And I at first you would get a little frustrated because you were trying to hear it how it was before. But I think it just dropped down more into another place, which
kept that delta
changed. Yeah.
Kept that delta swan-like thing. Yelling in the top, pedaling like crazy, definitely.
yes, basically.
But it is that thing. I never really understood that thing of, and Susan explained to me, that thing of positioning, where you position your voice.
Oh, for sure.
And how you can get much more out of it or use it less.
It's your steering wheel. Your whole body is a steering wheel to the airflow that's happening in how you support your singing.
Unlike, and this is for me to say, not you, unlike a lot of people who perhaps, found musical careers via soaps or acting careers, you really can sing. There's no sort of auto tune or any of that going on, and that was proven by your time on The Voice and that sort of thing. But to lose something that is so vital to you that must have been one of the more terrifying times.
For sure. I feel I had a new understanding of what a communication challenge felt like within, and having to surrender and go quiet, because obviously I would actually just say, if I went to a local place, that Matt would speak on my behalf saying that I'd been to the dentist. So I kind of went through this very quiet, just healing, and just slowly working hard at getting everything to respond.
During that period where Matt was on occasion having to act as your voice, did he ever use that to his advantage?
I don't think so, actually. No.
Just like,
I think
Delta would like.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I don't want that.
She actually like another coffee as well. Then all this stuff. No.
But obviously, you get your voice back. You start recording again.
Yep. That's when I made Bridge Over Troubled Dreams, which was that album.
Yeah, which was obviously must have been a very personal statement.
For sure.
For that period in your life.
I think it brought me back to like just the piano lyrics, and it was like another stepping stone of like just getting back to the basics. I think that from going in from the being on the show for so long, and then just sort of getting back to like just keeping it piano and vocals, and then COVID happened, and it was just back to that, and I was enjoying starting from that and producing my own records. And it was that chapter taught me a lot of how to just appreciate this, like a bruschetta theory. I used to say to Matt, there's such a great cook at home that it's the quality of every individual part. Like if it's just a great piece of bread that is a gorgeous sourdough with fresh tomatoes and a fresh onion with a beautiful olive oil, then it's just, you only need that. You don't need to overcomplicate it and do too much.
Matt not singing from the same sheet.
Yeah.
Matt not
good
singing.
Quality.
Quality is everything, and I think that the simpler the food, the better in some cases, because there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
You know, when you're talking about, you know, foams and jellies and, you know,
Yeah.
dehydrated this and
Yeah.
you know, it's like, oh, yeah.
But it's like, and the thing that you're able to use that as a theory into music, where the sound of the piano, so trying different studios with different pianos, what is that one sound quality of how high and low it sounds, like in the frequency, and that one layer, and then my vocal layer, what is the sound around that? So it's the same sort of philosophy that I took on around that time because of this.
Yeah, because of the voice.
Yeah.
And that finding of the, or rediscovering.
Yeah.
Did it go anywhere else? Because you changed the position of your voice. Was it able to do stuff that it wasn't able to do before?
I think so, yeah. I think I really enjoy singing right now as well in my life. Like, I really love, nothing I love more, getting higher and higher, getting lower and lower, and finding it's, you know, again, you can really relate to cooking in the sense that getting like a great resonance or a great sound. It's, you know, like a golf swing, or like if you get a full bodied sound, or if you choose in that moment to find a little less by placement for huskiness or for storytelling. So, you know, there is a finesse to, you know, in finding and discovering all the resonance within you.
I've just thought of a podcast that you and Matt could do together.
Tell me.
Singing for Your Supper with Delta and Matt.
But yes, we'd welcome your 5-star chef self. You know, I think Matt and I he's on his way, but he doesn't have his own restaurant. So I've got him on stage.
Passion is everything.
Exactly, it is.
But I've now got your second spoon for you.
Okay,
are you ready for this?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, don the blindfold again.
I'm a really good eater, by the way.
No,
it's like I love all food.
I'm gonna keep feeding you. Now this one.
I'm not polite in my.
This one is you're gonna have to take a bite of.
Okay.
Okay. You ready? Open a bit wider. There we go. What have we got there? Oh, we like it. We're getting another
olives.
Yep. What else?
Like tapenade or.
Well, there's definitely olives.
Sweetness.
There's a sweetness. What would that be? Whatever.
Is it honey or is it a...
Really see it to be caramelized onion.
Yeah.
Caramelized onion.
Ooh, that's really nice.
Yeah. It's got something up there you hate.
Oh, don't put it in, Sharpies on it.
Well, you've just eaten one. Take your phone.
No! That's disgusting! No! Why would you do this to me? Why would you do this?
Pissaladière, the French Pissaladière.
Okay, well, you tricked me this time.
But how nice was that?
It was nice.
Goes
It was
to my
nice.
thing. No such thing as a bad ingredient. It's how you look. You see now.
I don't like the look of these little fish things.
So what you're saying is you won't take another bite now you know what it is.
No.
But hold on, you just enjoyed that no end, and now because you can see it, you don't want to eat.
Maybe I didn't eat much of its little.
Oh no! I made sure.
No, you didn't, did you?
Yeah, of course I bloody did.
That's disgusting.
But look, there's the end. You see that big piece of anchovy there?
Mm-hmm.
There was exactly the same size piece there, and that's all that's left of it.
What? I deserve some champagne.
Wash it down with some champagne. It'll be fine. But
I just don't like the look of them.
no, right. But you have to admit that you enjoyed the taste.
I did enjoy the taste, but I feel like maybe the caramelized was probably tricking me.
Well, no, but the thing about it is I think anchovy, right, in that state, which is your more sort of classically tinned anchovy as opposed to your Spanish boquerones, which is the cured one in vinegar. I think that is, it's like a sort of, I tend to use it like a flavour rather than a flavour. So, for example, it's delicious if you get a little piece of anchovy, you wrap it around a slither of garlic, and you stick it in a leg of lamb, and you roast the lamb like that. That creates an incredible flavour that isn't fishy. Because I get it on its own, you're like, it's too fishy. I hate it. Because you don't like anything too fishy, do you?
No. Well, I just don't like I don't like little hairs on the anchovies and the little.
They're just bones. They're not hairs. They're bones.
Yeah, see, I don't like bones either. It's just.
Oh no, you do. You're a bit bone phobic, aren't you?
Yeah, a bit bone phobic.
I looked up what the bone phobia was, because obviously there's a word for every
Yeah.
phobia. I can't remember what it is now. Probably.
It was because of like my, throat or something. I think it's like the thought of little bones really freak me out.
When you ate one.
No, that's not good at all.
You're
Why
fine.
should this?
You're fine.
I feel a shortness of breath coming on.
Yeah, more champagne. You'll be fine. So look, what is next for you in
Yes.
in the continuing juggernaut that is Delta Goodrem?
You know what? I think more love and life and music and the variety and spice of life. I am making the new music. I want to continue to kind of wrap that up of what this sort of era is, and we've been making a lot of great projects in house with my team, and I'm just kind of pumped to bring some of them to life. I've got my Christmas shows at the end of the year, and
They happen
spending more
every
time
year.
here.
They happen every year.
Yes.
Why can't we see those here?
I'm sure we will get to bring them here very, very soon. Spending more time here has been an absolute joy in my life and really given me a lot of inspiration.
And will you be going back into the studio again with the lovely Guy Chambers?
Yes, always. I mean, he came to my show this trip because we had made a lot of that album.
Yeah.
And his piano playing, his maestro orchestral self.
But just also him as a person.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Guy.
Yeah,
And,
he's amazing.
he's a lovely man. But
it's funny because like they always sort of circle, Bobby Williams and I got to do the AFL Grand Final in Australia together, which is our like Super Bowl.
yeah, it's the Aussie Rules Football League Grand Final.
And I feel like Guy's always he's always been a part of like checking in, and then obviously it's
just a nice man who's very good at what he does.
He's very good.
As are you. And I wish you every success with whatever happens next. Thank you so much for coming on and being a good sport and eating an anchovy and enjoying it despite what you think about anchovies. We have discovered that you do actually like them. But that is all for this week on Spooning with Mark Wogan. Thank you, of course, to Corrigan's and the use of the beautiful Lindsay room, and to Simon and the team in the kitchen for the, quite frankly, delicious souffle. That was fantastic. If you like what we're doing, follow us on your social media channels at Spooning with Mark Wogan, and of course you can view what we're doing here in glorious Technicolor on the Virgin YouTube channel, and this podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts from. So until next week, stay beautiful.